Hi, everyone. This is Rebecca, Victoria Mesa. How are you, sisters? Hopefully, the audio and everything is okay. Just wanted to quickly introduce myself. Thank you so much for having me on this Sunday, and thank you all for your time and for attending this webinar. I'm sure we'll probably have a couple that might trickle in, not too sure, but I'll get started, and we will be recording this session. So then I'll be able to share the slides and the audio and whatnot with you all. But thank you again for taking the time to tune in, and hopefully you guys get some good nuggets of information and some good learnings that you can apply to your everyday life today and future. So again, my name is Rebecca. I am from Phi Chapter at Cal State Fullerton, Delta class, and I now run my own communications agency. And aside from tending to client needs, one of the other pieces I like to do is to always kind of share my learnings and share any lessons that that I maybe learned the hard way or whatnot, just to give back. And so this is kind of the perfect setting to be able to share some of these lessons with my sisters. So I'm very excited about that. So thank you for having me. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of come off the screen and we'll focus on the slides. The chat option is available. If you guys have questions, I'll kind of be glancing at that. I can see that. And again, we'll record it so that you guys can have this to share with sisters. So I'm going to tune out for a minute. And can everyone see the slides on the screen? Okay, cool. Perfect. So I'll go ahead and get started. So the topic of this session is, achieving balance, the college edition. But basically, I'm going to touch on a few different areas, and then we will all kind of learn from different parts of the presentation. Maybe some will resonate more with others, depending on what stage you are in school and whatnot. But the main question and why I titled this session about balance, why is balance important? Honestly, so that you don't burn out. And I've experienced this in different times, different stages in my life. Definitely one right after college, because I was trying to do it all right. And at times in college. So definitely balance is important so that you don't burn out. There's a distinct difference between normal stress levels and that feeling of being burnt out when you can't give anymore. And I personally had this experience a couple weeks ago, because I'm juggling a few clients at the moment, where I literally couldn't remember my birth date. And so that's one of those where you're burnt out at that point, like somebody needs some sleep. So my advice is that, to not get to that point. Obviously, I got there as well. So to not get to that point, don't allow yourself to get to this place. The second is that you want to pay attention where attention is due, right? Sometimes you're in different stages of your life. Your focus might need to go more to one area of your life, but being able to achieve that balance, you want to be able to maximize the attention that you pay to these different parts of your life. So you definitely want, you don't want to go visit your family and you're not yourself and you're not your best self. So, you definitely want to be the best version of yourself. And which goes into my last one, which is for better health, because creating balance in your life leads to better health. If you allow yourself to be constantly overcommitted, overscheduled, and stressed, you'll likely begin to have health problems, and we don't want that. A lot of times these stress levels, they manifest into physical, right? And so So you start getting sick, you realize your immune system is just not fighting what it needs to fight, and so you start getting sick. So I don't want any of us to go through that and get to that point. And as I've spoken to different professionals and entrepreneurs, sometimes they've gotten really, really sick, and it ends up being this, that they weren't able to balance everything that they had. So whether you're starting out, your college career, or towards the end of it and looking into professional world, you definitely want to have this mindset to keep this in mind of like you want to achieve balance, so that hopefully we are all like this caricature where she's happy and balancing all of these things. So we all want to be this person, right? So at the moment, what is it that you have on your plate? So I'm assuming, we all have our academics, our family, LSG and other organizations which you might be a part of on campus, self, because that's important. We need to think of ourselves as an item too. Jobs, and obviously career. We're all in school because we want a career out of this, right? So that's quiet. If you think of that, I mean, I left out, if you have any faith, belief, commitments, if boyfriends, like I kind of left a lot of there's some missing here, but already these are six big chunks of your time, right? So so how does that translate? Now we're gonna go ahead and do an activity after this. So I don't know if it's possible to pull up a Word doc or a notepad or a piece of paper. We're going to jump into an activity. And is everyone with me? So once you have something to write on, give you guys a minute. So once you guys have something to write with, whether it's on your laptop or a scratch piece of paper. So there's right now at the moment, this is kind of just to illustrate the current commitments that you have on your plate, right? You have school, your classes, you have LSG and other student orgs you might be a part of. You have family. You have friends, boyfriend, and fun, lumping them all in one. You have might have a job. We mentioned self, you time. That's important, and that you time is, just you time. Even as much as we love each other, sisters, like that's still you still need that little you time. I know sometimes it's hard to separate us. But and you have your faith, you might have your faith commitments and your career, right? So you'll see, as the header, I give the example of 1 week is exactly 168 hours, right? 24 hours times 7 is 168 hours. So what we're going to do next, write down your current list of commitments, because this is just an example. So write down what you have, and I'll give you guys a couple minutes. Okay, so hopefully you thought of everything that consumes your time at the moment. Again, this list might change once you graduate, might change next year, next semester, whatnot. But for now, just write down what it is that your time is consumed with. Is it school? Is it all these orgs? So hopefully you all have somewhat of a list. Now, the second part of this column is going to be the estimated time. So, for example, depending on how many classes you're taking. Class time, right? Class time, let's say that's 20 hours a week. That's how many classes you're taking, the amount of hours you're in class. So give everything an estimate. So LSG, that, and this, this counts for meetings and events, LSG related events. You commit 8 hours a week, let's say. Then what you do for fun, separate, right? But at least your commitment. So between meetings and research or etc., like site visits for events, things like that, that's all LSG business. Or other student orgs you might be a part of. Family, do you only see them one day out of your week, or a couple hours every day? So go ahead and give each one of the items that you listed an estimated time commitment per week. We're breaking this down at 1 week at a time. So, 5 hours for yourself that you keep to yourself every week, faith, your church time, and all of that. And then your career, I put in this example as, time that you spend looking into careers, or researching or visiting the career center at your school, or speaking to professors about the future. I kind of lumped it in there. But again, your list will probably look a little different. This is just an example. And let's get to writing down the hours that we spend per week. I'll give you guys a minute. And if you guys have to bring out the calculator, that's totally fine. I did that too, so don't be embarrassed. Okay, so once you've given each one of your commitments an estimated time per week, the hardest part is next. So depending on where you are in your life, everyone is at a different point. The next part will be different for each one of us. The next one is the priority level. So basically, which one of these on the left hand side is your number one at the moment? And I know everybody wants to put family because, oh, okay, they're my number ones. However, I'm talking about the bigger picture. Like, let's say you're in your last year of college, school becomes your priority because you want to make sure you graduate, you want to make sure you get the grades and you have study time, et cetera, et cetera. So that just becomes your number one. So I know this is difficult because maybe nobody wants to put family as number 3 or 5 or whatnot. But it's kind of the reality, and this is your reality, and this is your reality at the moment. Again, it could change next year. You could have all this free time, and you could see your boyfriend all the time and your family all the time. But maybe right now, school's number one, or career is number one because you're trying to get a job or whatnot out of college. So go ahead and give each one of these a priority number, and that's just for you. So, you don't have to share this. It's pretty tough, right? So, I think when I was doing this exercise, I was like, gosh, but everything's number one. You wanna you wanna prioritize everything, but that's kind of the point of kind of listing it out, writing it out, is that we're kind of torn into a lot of different directions, at times more one way than the other. But it's when you see it all laid out, like, wow, I really am trying to do a lot. And so, cut yourself some slack. Like, you're trying to do a lot. You may just make sure that in this point in time, the priority is going to whatever needs to have it, right? Like I mentioned, it depends if you're in the beginning of your college career versus the end, your outlook will be different. And so this goes to the next slide, which is, we mentioned 1 week of time, if you break it down by hours, is 168 hours a week. Then you subtract, on average, if you get what you're supposed to get, right? Let's say 7 hours of sleep every night, then that's 49 hours of sleep. And this particular example and your number will look different. 92 hours in this example are these commitments, right? So we're only left in this example with 27 hours left. So it's kind of crazy where your time goes. So that's why your number again will look different if you want to calculate it, what you mentioned your estimated times were. If you want to add all that up, and that's basically what it comes down to. I mean, maybe you're not getting a lot of sleep because you're trying to squeeze in a lot of things, but then that goes back to what I mentioned in the beginning. You start losing yourself. You're not a priority anymore if you're getting very little sleep. Maybe you're not your best, right? And you're not achieving as much as you could because you're on lack of sleep. So it's kind of interesting when you see it laid out this way, right? And written out. I'm very curious as to what you ladies got and what your sheets look like. But it's interesting. So I hope everyone kind of was able to see the visual of their numbers and where your time is going. So given all of that and seeing the breakdown, in terms of tips, right? So the first one is to identify and get organized, which is the exercise that we just did. You want to identify what's on your plate, what are you trying to juggle, get organized, what's priority, number one, two, three at the moment, and focus on those priorities. Obviously, with a composed, sane mind, you'll look at it as kind of like a puzzle, right? These are these are the priorities at the moment, and this is what I got to do, and maybe next semester it's different and it shifts a little bit. So that's kind of what you should be doing. Learn to say no to things. So that was a big one for me because you want to say yes to everything. You want to be a part of everything, whether it's fun, whether it's professional, whether it's an advancement opportunity. Like, you want to be a part of everything, but sometimes you just have to think, what is my priority? Like, this semester, it's school, it's this class. That's a lot more, time consuming and difficult than I thought. So maybe it's that class is your priority, right? So you kind of have to learn to say no to certain things. Um, I don't know if you guys have ever had this experience where you're like, well, if I stop by this event and that event, I'll go for 5 minutes to this one and then head over to the next one. And then that first one ends up running late. And so you're late to the second one. So you kind of you didn't really serve anybody well. And you're the one that's stressed or upset because you didn't make it to both or whatnot, right? So why even put yourself in that situation? So just learning to say no. And the last one is to just simplify. Sometimes we get caught up with, if I don't go here, they're not going to like me or they're going to be mad, or, I don't want to let them down or whatnot. But if it's people and organizations that care about your well-being, everybody will understand, like, oh, okay, she needs to study for that exam or whatnot, right? So just simplify, no stress. Everybody will understand. And so, with that said, we're going to transition a little bit into the college to real world topic. And these are tips that I would say I learned, firsthand, and that I'd like to share with you all in terms of what to expect, right? From college mindset to real world mindset. So while you're in college, these are kind of some of the things that you are juggling and doing on a day to day and that you should be doing. Like you should be taking advantage of some of these items. The first one that you're doing is time management. So clearly you all made your list of organizations and where your time is going and what you're a part of. So you're learning to balance class and homework and LSG and all the things, right? So you have all of that plus your personal life. You also have access to your professors, and your professors, make it a point to get FaceTime with them. They will be your, if down the line you decide to go to grad school or even job references, they could be great at it. And a lot of times they have a lot of knowledge. Obviously, they have a lot of knowledge, but they also have a lot of alumni connections. So that's great because sometimes they get job leads, and if you're kind of that eager person that's shown they're a good worker, good work ethic, and good in school and whatnot, they're an excellent resource. So I definitely recommend keeping in touch with them and visiting them at their office hours. A lot of times, they love talking to students. So and then there's some that go on to do great things. So they start companies or whatnot. They're on projects. So I think it's a good resource to never forget our professors and make it a point to connect with them. You have internships at your fingertips, and I definitely strongly recommend that you do as many internships as you can, 2 to 3 different ones. And I know when I was in college, the communications program only allotted for one internship, and I put all my eggs in one basket. However, after the fact, I learned that I could have taken a class at a JC to get credit for an internship, right? Because a lot of the academic credit internships were so great. They were at really cool places. So I'm like, oh, I wish I would have known that because then I would have taken more. So if you're in a position where you can have several internships, I definitely recommend that. It's also a great place for you to get a feel for different working environments. So, like maybe an agency versus a corporate setting, just so that you get a feel for what work environment works for you, that you think you'll be successful in. And internships are just the best way to go about it and get that taste of it or whatnot. Um, Another tip I would recommend, and this is if for some reason you cannot take or have that many internships, informational interviews are also excellent. They're obviously a little shorter because it's just a conversation or a meeting, but it's still eye opening, and you still learn something, and something great can come out of it. So if you're unable to squeeze more than one internship, you definitely want to do informational interviews. So basically, you research someone or you research, a job, let's say that you're interested in. Like, I want to do marketing for the Lakers, right? And so you look up the department. You all of this you can find online, obviously. Like you just look up the department, look up who the players are. Sometimes it's, LinkedIn is a good resource, and connect with them. And sometimes through LinkedIn, or sometimes their email is listed. You can find it online. So I would recommend to send them a note, say, I'm so and so, I'm studying this, and I would appreciate just a moment of your time. If you have 30 minutes to spare, I'd love to either talk to you on the phone or come meet you, whatever you are willing to do, and just say I want to learn more about your industry and how you got to do what you do, and I would just appreciate your time. Granted, if they answer when they accept the informational interview, treat it like it's gold, because they are usually super busy people and they're donating their time to have a conversation with you. So treat it like that. And so sometimes they're so busy or they're so distracted or whatnot, but don't take offense to any of that. They're just we're very busy working professionals, but what you can get out of it could be great. Like it could end up being somebody that's like, oh, like I connect with this person and yeah, keep me in touch and maybe when you graduate, like hit me up or whatnot. So you never know what can come out of it, but it's a great way for you, one, for you to practice connecting with these professionals and have a contact. I'm sure you can send them a thank you note after and just kind of keep that person afloat, like let them know what you're up to, let them know, wow, I did this project and I did it on the Lakers. So, I thought you should see it or whatnot. Just want to share. A lot of times that kind of initiative really stands out. So informational interviews are great and just to meet people and make contacts. You likely have a career center. I definitely encourage you all to take advantage. A lot of times some of these resources end or are limited once you graduate. So while you're in there, make sure like three different people look at your resume to get three different perspectives. And, you know, if you can do mock interviews, those are great because you just kind of get comfortable with the whole process and know where everything's at. Like, okay, once I graduate, where do I look for jobs? Where's the job site? Like, get familiar with all that while you're in school because once you're out, sometimes it's a little more limited. So take advantage while you're there. And I had to add this one because because you're my sisters and because I'm weary about credit card debt. So and this is a firsthand experience, so I have to share it with you all in terms of watch your credit card debt. I know it's so easy to rack it up with Postmates and whatnot, and and Uber drives and bar tabs and all of that good stuff. But I would say there's a there's a false mentality where you think, well, once I graduate and get a good job, I'll pay all of this off. But the reality is sometimes that good job takes a minute to find. And if you the interest rates meanwhile, while you're like, okay, well I can give minimum payments, usually the minimum payment gets eaten up by interest rates. So you're not really paying off the credit card and the next thing you know, they increase your balance and you buy more shoes and more purses and more cute outfits and then you're in trouble. So I would say my advice to you all as my sisters and fellow professional smart women, just keep a monitor on that and then just keep them low. Don't spend so much and you can live without the cute shoes and the latest outfits and whatnot. It'll be fine. I think once you start working in the real world and you find out what your true budget is and whatnot, then you can splurge or whatnot. But at least while in school, sisters and I used to go shopping and like we were pretty woman, but clearly we weren't. So we didn't have that type of money coming in. So definitely just be careful with that. And that said, I'm gonna merge onto when you graduate, right? That day is gonna come for all of us, and it sometimes it comes way quicker than we'd like, right? But I'm gonna share with you some stats that I feel are important, just so that you see, I guess, get a glimpse of what to expect. In 2016, there was 1.9 million graduates, and 21% of them found a job before or upon graduating college. 61% of them found a job 1 to 6 months out. And I think it's important to note because this is the majority. And so most of us find our jobs after graduation. And whether it's that 1 month or the 6 months, those could be tough months, right? Depending on what decisions we make. And then 12% do find a job 7 to 12 months after they graduated. So these are 2016 stats from the US College Graduate Employment Study. And I found this very interesting because when I graduated in 2007, it took me about 2 months to find a job. And I thought, oh my gosh, all of my friends have jobs and maybe I'm the only one that's still unemployed, haven't found something and whatnot. But these are actual numbers. And I think I was very much in the normal bracket. However, it felt like eternity till I found a job. But this is definitely something to expect. And that's why I shared with you what to do while you're in school so that maybe you guys can be in the 21%, which is finding and securing a job before, you graduate or quickly after. So let's say that you follow all of this advice and that you end up securing a job right upon graduation. So or that you don't. So then if, after you graduate, the job hunt, right? What to expect. So these are some tips because I would like all of us to get on this page and be super sharp and ready by the time the job hunt continues or comes up. So what to do if you happen to be a part of the 61% of college grads who take about 1 to 6 months to find their career job. One is persistence. Persistence, because you will apply to many, many jobs. And one of the things and one of the tips I would put out there is to obviously you got to keep applying and you got to keep going. If you apply to one job because that's, oh my God, that's my dream job and that's it, it doesn't end there. You have to apply to many, many jobs. Um, Again, make use of the Career Center for all of these job applications. LinkedIn is great. Make sure that your LinkedIn headshot is professional and not a selfie. It could be from your phone, but at least make it look professional, right? Instead of a selfie or anything like that. You can use Indeed, and there's countless websites for job insights, and obviously there's staffing agencies as well. I had a couple sisters who went this route, and I think there's some details there with them helping you find a job, but they're there and they're a resource. So definitely make use of all of these resources when job hunting. Another piece of advice when you're in the job hunt, if possible, and if it's possible and if it's something you want, definitely consider keeping your current job. That way you have some sort of income and you can continue at least applying for jobs while you have a job, right? So it's just a tip to keep in mind if it's something you can keep. And while you're in this job hunt mode, obviously you want to be the best version of yourself. This is what we were talking about today, and just balance. So definitely take time for yourself, whether it's going on hikes, going on walks, and early morning jogs. If you can have a gym membership, great. If you don't, there's all these natural alternatives. So definitely take care of yourself with mental health as well. If you do yoga, if you meditate, anything to practice de-stressing, and then once you land that career job, your free time is it'll go down, so it'll be minimized. So you definitely want to take advantage while you're in this kind of limbo of trying to get a career job. You want to do as much work on yourself, because once you start working, I mean, it'll be all your time will probably go to your job and making a good impression on your employer. So definitely, I recommend listening to Audible books, reading any books of like personal growth and leadership, and there's also great podcasts. And I would say every TED Talk is a great thing to listen to. And yeah, just definitely take care of yourself in all aspects, both physically and mentally, and to help yourself grow. So all of this, is just to keep you in a good state of mind so that when you're interviewing and looking for jobs, people gravitate to that positive energy that you have, and oh, you look great and refreshed and ready to work. We want to hire you, right? That would be the ideal situation. So when you are going to these interviews, like you secure the interview, they're interested in what you have to offer. Yay, congrats. So a couple of things to do pre-interview is know who's calling you. So as you are applying to a million jobs, you want to, I would say, take that extra minute to PDF or save the job So you know what company, what title of job title the job was that you applied to, because sometimes they call you back 2 months down the line and you're like, what job did I apply to? So I would recommend keep a folder of all the jobs that you're applying to with the company name and the job title. Because a lot of times, like I said, they call either a month down the line or a couple weeks down the line. And while you're applying to a lot of jobs, you might forget. So know who's calling you. Be flexible when you're scheduling the interview. A lot of times, and I have a friend that's a supervisor, it's like the scheduling can sometimes be so limiting. And although, there's two sides to the coin, you definitely want to be flexible and, well, I can do this and this and this date, but if it's like I can only do these days, then you're already kind of that impression is already there of, oh, well, she's not very willing to work with us, right? So be flexible when you're scheduling interviews and do your research. And I'm sure you guys have heard this before, but I can't stress it enough. I definitely had one experience where I didn't prepare and I feel like I flopped really, really bad and embarrassing. But um, so you don't want that experience. I mean, obviously I learned from it and now I'm telling you all, you want to do your research. And another point is to definitely try to get that mock interview, whether it's with sisters or with a professor, like I had mentioned, or at the career center. Take that time because it does help. You kind of get ready and prepared for that interview and arrive early. I mean, we're in the LA area, metropolitan area, and traffic is just always unpredictable. Sometimes it's just bad place, bad timing. So you definitely want to arrive early. And then post interview, you want to send that immediate thank you email to whoever coordinated the email and whoever you met with. And that's a good kind of point to when you interview, try to get their business card. And if you can't get theirs, they usually have either a receptionist or assistant. Try to get the person you interviewed with, try to get their information from one of them. And, if you can mail a thank you card, even better, just because they'll probably get it a few days after. So that's good to kind of keep you top of mind and follow up when appropriate. Like as part of your interview, they might mention, oh, we're looking to fill this job, this position in the next week or so. So give it a week before you start sending follow up emails. Like the thank you email is immediate, but then the follow up of like, oh, I was wondering if you guys came to a decision, just wanted to follow up. Like that should come when they told you, right? And those are some tips with interviews. Now, let's say that congratulations, you landed that job. You had a stellar interview, right? You start working, you're offered the job. So, first tip is to obviously arrive early or on time. You want to, especially if you're an hourly employee, they might be strict on the amount of hours that you can clock in before your shift starts or whatnot. But so be respectful of that, be mindful of that, but just know that chronic absenteeism and tardiness, they can lead to termination. So you definitely want to be that employee, that stellar employee that arrives on time and be open to learning. We may be A students in our degree programs, but degree programs are not the same as years of industry experience. So, whatever industry you're going into, there's always people that have been there longer, and you want to be kind of respectful and mindful. Obviously, you come with a lot of knowledge right out of school, right? But you want to be able to be the person who's like always open to learning from their peers. And a lot of times, some of us, get us young folks, we get that bad rap of we know it all or whatnot. But you don't want to be that. You want to be the person who is considered for new projects, and that too. If you see that there's projects happening in your new job where you want to be a part of it, then be humble about it and be like, oh, that sounds like a great project. Can I help in any capacity? I'd like to be a part of it, because you want that exposure and you want the experience. In terms of reviews, most companies have a system in place for reviews or performance evaluations. These are great. One, because you learn to take feedback. Some of us, had a harder time taking feedback because I thought I did everything perfect. But but feedback is the way we learn, right? And the way we get better and just improve overall. So reviews are something that happens either 3 months into your job or 6 months down the line, sometimes once a year, twice a year. So be prepared for interviews and reviews. And reviews are also a good time for you to have that conversation with your supervisor in terms of, what can I improve on? What can I do more of? I see myself in X role. What can I do to get there? Like, I want to be a supervisor down the line. So, what can I do to get there, kind of thing. And I feel like saying those kinds of statements will help you stand out, and it's initiative that they see. So, it can be a good thing. And the last one I mentioned, I think it goes without saying, and we are lambdas, to work hard. Work hard at the beginning of your career. It'll really shape your path. And because I gave you all the tools of how to find balance, you'll know that, once you do get that career job, you want to focus your energies on it, and then, work in your family and your friends and your outings just to stay balanced, and your me time. And the reason why I stress this about the working hard and doing your best, being that stellar employee, is I'm about to show you some some challenges that we are facing currently right now in terms of where do women stand in the job market. So I don't know if you guys are aware, but did you know that women make up 44% of the overall S&P 500 labor force? These are companies throughout the country, and then 36% of those women are mid-level and managers. 26% are executives or senior level. 21% of those hold a board seat, and only 5% are CEOs. Now, these numbers are alarming because, the following slide will illustrate, but when I think power women and how much we balance and how much we're able to do and all of these ideas we have and creative and initiative, it's just when I see 5% are CEOs, it kind of makes me sad. Like, wait, where are we falling short? So we do need more women in leadership positions. Women are 50% of the US population. That's right, half of the US is women. um, we're almost 60% of undergraduate degrees and 60% of all master's degrees. So we're educated, ladies. Like, we're not, you know, falling behind here on times. We're actually keeping up with the times, and we're getting degrees, we're getting educated, and we hold almost 52% of all professional jobs. So we're definitely out there in the workforce. And again, going back to the previous slide, why is it that we're only 5% are CEOs? And the sad part is that women of color, which includes all of us that are a little brown, we're only 3.9% of executives and or senior level officials and managers, and 0.4% of colored women are CEOs. It's the number is even smaller. So I share this with you all because, clearly we have to do something about it. It's been estimated at the current rate will be at, what is this? The changes will happen in 2085 to reach parity with our male counterparts. So we have some time, and this gap is it's unacceptable, really. We have to get to the top, right? So I'm just putting this out there, but let's make change happen, Lambdas. I feel like, we're getting educated, we're getting these degrees, and with this session, hopefully, I'm giving you the tools to be the best version of yourself by achieving balance. I gave you tips on, what resources to make use of while you're in college, and then tips on what to expect when you're out of college. So that's kind of what this presentation was about, the balance, the prioritizing what's in your life at the moment and what needs your attention, the persistence when you're out there looking for jobs or looking for that internship or looking for this particular program that's going to give you all the tools to be in a better position to get a better job. Like all of this is at our fingertips and we need to get it. And so we can't be afraid of it. And the reason why I wanted to close with all of this is because I I want us as Lambdas, like this is our sisterhood and it's our network. And it's one of the most important networks, especially when we graduate. So to be able to lean on each other, we have to create that. And so, I started this agency. It's definitely not a walk in the park, but being able to rely on sisters and you guys bringing me on today to be able to share my thoughts and my lessons and being able to share all of this knowledge with you all, and hopefully some of it helps you and resonates with you, and maybe you can avoid some of these mistakes or longer longer roads so that you can get there quicker. And so I feel like if we can build this community of helping each other out, whether it's you're in school or out of school, I think we can all help change those numbers, because I mean it's pretty discouraging when you think, well, but I want to be a mom and I want to do these things, but I also want to be a CEO. I just don't, I have all these ideas, I have all this talent. So there's no reason why any of us cannot have all of those things. We just need to build our support system and help each other out. So I wanted to close with that. Hopefully it invigorates you a little bit. And I wanted to open it up to questions. So there's a way, obviously, you guys all kind of chimed in to send the chat or send questions to the entire group, or you could send it to just me and I can answer them. But I wanted to open it up to any Q&A. I know I gave you guys tons of information to process. I did record this webinar, so I'll go ahead and share that with you all afterwards. But you'll see my contact information on the screen. Feel free to send me an email, visit my website, or follow me on social media and to see everything that I'm working on, everything that we have going on. But if you have any questions, okay, we got a brave soul. um, what if you can't find a suitable mentor? What can I do alternatively to reach out to strangers? This is an interesting question because it is tough to find a good mentor. I mean, I will say that to answer this first question that came my way, in terms of finding a mentor, it really comes down to it's kind of like dating. I feel like you meet someone, that they're in an industry or company that you want to work for. You meet them, and then like, let's grab coffee, or can I come see you in your office or whatnot. You end up meeting with them and you either click or you don't. And sometimes professionals, they're in the mindset to give back, and sometimes the reality is they're not, and so they're like, well, I don't really have time for this, I don't really have time for you. And it's fine. We all handle all of these things differently. But I've met professionals that are so kind and willing to give their time and answer these random questions that we have as students, right? And the other thing I would say for you all is to set your expectations, because sometimes you want a mentor to solve all of your problems. But I would say set your expectation, like, okay, I want to find a mentor because this person works in the company that I want to work for. I just want to know what she knows about the company. Like, when I meet with her, I just want to know all the things about NBC, right? Because she works at NBC. So is it cool? Is the environment cool? What are you guys working on? Like, that's all I want. um on the other hand, you might want a mentor to know, can you help me? Like, I'm too shy. I want to network with people. Oh, well, let me bring you to networking events. Like, set your expectation when it comes to the. Can you all hear me? Did it. Did we lose it? The audio? Hello? Can you guys hear me? Hello? 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 My audio is not on. Doesn't look like there was a, like, the screen still sharing, but aquí there's a mic and it's gone. See? I hope the recording didn't go away.